Welcome back to Little Shop of Nerds. Here's your two lovely co-hosts. Mike, what's up?
And I'm Julia.
And welcome back. Today's hit is planes.
But before that, we do have something to talk about. So on Tuesday, June 4th, it will be our 1 year anniversary of our YouTube channel, actually. So, we just want to thank every one of you that has subscribed to us, commented, listened to us, whatever.
Yep.
It really means a lot to us. That that you're all here with us on this journey.
And we all want to say thanks. Like she said, we all want to say thank you, and I'm grateful for you guys subscribing and liking it and everything.
Yeah. So, like Mike said, this week's hint is planes. So today we are going to talk about a Studio Ghibli movie called The Wind Rises.
Yep.
Now, the protagonist, Jiro, is actually based off of a real person who did design planes during World War II. The movie is a fictionalized biography on him, but the guy was real. He did design planes, and he was actually opposed to using the planes in the war. Attacking the U.S., I do believe. He really didn't want to be involved in the war, but when you gotta do your job, you gotta do your job.
It's kind of like our job, and yet we hate it.
Yeah, we really do.
And if you guys don't know what we do, we're pretty much just security guards.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can be like, oh great, they're like the fat asses that fall asleep. Trust me, I wish I could fall asleep.
Yeah. So, like I said, this movie is based off of a real person. I do not remember the year that it came out. But it has been within a fairly recent. It's one of the fairly recent new movies. And it was directed, and the storyboards were done by Miyazaki himself. The greatest of all time, basically.
Yes.
Excuse me. So, let's start talking about it. So, if you've never seen the movie, it's about a young. He's probably like teenagers, and he is the real guy was actually born in 1903. So this can give you a timeline of exactly where at in history that this takes place. I don't remember how old he was during World War II, but he was definitely involved, and I do believe it was because they mentioned Hitler. So they are, within this timeline. The real guy died in 1982. So from 1903 to 1982 was, the backdrop for this movie. So I do believe he's at school, and he is, or library or something.
Before that, he has a dream about flying his own plane that he designed. It looked a little like something that kid would make, but yes.
It kind of reminded me of like what the Wright brothers would have made.
But here's the thing: it didn't look like that, but it looked like a regular World War II plane if you look at it.
Yeah.
But either way, he's flying. Then he sees German planes, and you can tell they're German because of that little. No, they didn't have swastikas. They just had that little black cross. What they call it, a clad or whatever it's called that the Germans used. Besides the fucking swastika.
Yeah.
But besides that, he goes to school, gets the magazine from his teacher.
Yeah, and he said that it wasn't in Japanese. I'm going to assume it was probably in Italian or something. Because he really idolized an Italian plane maker. And his teacher was like, well, it's not in Japanese. And he's like, that's okay. He's like, I got a dictionary at home. So then he's going home. He sees this little kid being bullied. So he goes down to, help the kid. They get into a scuffle. He knocks the kid down. He goes home. His mom kind of chastises him for getting into a fight. And then his sister just kind of bothers him. And, he's doing his homework. He's out, on the roof. His sister comes to join him. He's like, you're not supposed to be out here. All that. Just normal
kid
stuff. And then he tells his mom that he's like, I can't be a pilot because of my glasses, because he wears glasses. And so he's like, I can't be a pilot, but I can design them. So he wanted to be able to design planes.
Yes, because he had a dream of the guy that was in his magazine. Asked him if he could. He said, "Well, this is my dream." I guess they were sharing dreams.
Yeah.
But he said, "Can I be a designer though? Because of my eyes, I can't fly." And he says, "Of course you can. All the planes I made, I never flew."
Yeah.
And that's when he tells his mom that he wants to be a designer.
Yeah. So, I'm actually pulling up. Yeah. Oh, Jiro was actually voiced by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, which, if you remember from the 90s, he was a heartthrob to all the girls in the 90s, like the late 90s, early 2000s. He was in, I do believe, 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yes.
And I think he was in Clueless as well. So, if that tells you anything,
yes,
that's
a lot. And also, if you ever do see 10 Things I Hate About You, read up Tales of the Shrew or Taming of the Shrew?
Taming of the Shrew, yeah. So, the name of the engineer is Giovanni Battista Caproni.
That's the Italian engineer.
Yeah, and so it happened in 1916. Yeah, it says here, in 1916, a young Jiro Hirokoshi longs to become a pilot, but his nearsightedness prevents it. One night, he dreams of his idol, the Italian aircraft designer Giovanni Battista Caproni, who tells him that he has never flown a plane in his life and that building planes is better than flying them.
Well, I can see that, yes.
And then, so then apparently it's 7 years later, and it was after World War I had ended, and he's on a plane. He's traveling on a train because he is on his way to the Tokyo Imperial University to study to be a aeronautical engineer. While he is on the train, he gives his seat up to a woman, and then he goes out back, and he's reading and whatever, and he loses his hat. Well, this girl and her maid were also outside looking, and they managed to catch. The young girl manages to catch his hat, and she almost falls, but he helps her, keeps her from falling, and he gets her hat back from him. He gets his hat back from her. And then, there's an earthquake. And, it was the Great Kanto earthquake. So everything is, destroyed. The train derails. People are freaking out because they think the train's going to explode. They're trying to get people away. So the young girl was traveling with her maid, and because she seems like this young girl seems like she's probably from a rich family, and the maid had broken her ankle, and so he uses a shirt that he had, and a ruler of some sort, and he, bandages it up and helps them home. And then he never sees them again.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
2 years later.
Yeah. So 2 years later, he's out eating with his friends. They go back to school, and he finds out that some young lady had dropped off a package for him. And he opens it, and it's the ruler and his shirt. And he runs out to see if he could find them, but at this point, she's already long gone. It was the maid had returned his stuff, after 2 years, because they were trying to find him. And then then shortly after that, he goes to Nagoya, where him and his friend Kiro Hanjo are working with Mitsubishi. So, yes, Mitsubishi are cars, but they also designed planes. It says in 1925, Jiro graduates with his friend Kiro Hanjo, and both are employed at aircraft manufacturer Mitsubishi, assigned to design a fighter plane, the Mitsubishi 1MF9, for the Imperial Army. It does. The plane does break, like this, like all things. It broke in midair.
Yeah, and besides that, I know a lot of car manufacturers during the war would build tanks. They would build plane carriers. I think Ford also did the same thing too.
Yeah.
But besides that before people get upset, there's a lot of companies that just make house appliances, also make weapons of destruction. Think about that.
Yeah. So, it was probably common back in World War I and World War II days. Probably not so common nowadays. Like, we probably have manufacturers who just do stuff like that. But in a time of war, when you needed those resources, it made sense that that's what, they would do, is they would just continue, everybody had to do their part. Even women, like during World War II, women would, not only were they working, but they wouldn't wear nylon stockings like they used to, so they would draw lines on their legs to make it look like they were wearing the stockings.
I know we also had ladies worked in a factory pretty much.
Yeah.
Drilling ribbons and pretty much, yeah, they did factory work. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, they're doing it, but now...
at that point, most of the men were away on war. Too.
Yeah, that too. And I heard some women did stay, some did not. They said now, before you say anything, I believe women wanted to stay. Maybe someone didn't want to stay anymore. They just wanted to do their part for the war. But in my opinion, hey, nowadays, we're all equal in the workforce.
Yeah. So, so they ended up getting sent to the Weimar Republic in 1929 to carry out technical research and obtain a production license for a Junkers G.38 aircraft. Jiro dreams again of Caproni, who tells him that the world is better for the beauty of planes, even if humankind might put them to terrible purposes. Yes. So basically, they're in Germany, and he gets, I guess, Jiro is perceived as like a genius. So what they did was they ended up keeping Hanjo in Germany and sent Jiro out to travel around the world, or at least travel around Europe, to get, to learn tricks and stuff like that.
And what I always thought was funny when they were in Germany, when you see the German soldiers wearing their hats, you see they replace it with like some kind of line or a star. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I wonder why they had to change that.
Yeah.
But besides that, you could tell those guys were being dicks part of the movie. I get it. World War II, they were always dicks. I get it. Yeah. But no, they didn't trust G. Oh, sorry.
Spit on me.
Not on purpose. Not like that. At least I wasn't like that guy from fucking Hamilton who sings that fucking King George song that people always made a meme of. He's like, when you see the video, when he shouts like the part he sings, you see spit coming out.
Yeah.
But besides the point, Germany didn't trust Jiro. Like when Jiro, sorry. They didn't trust the guys from Japan because like if they just want to look at the rudders, they'd be like, why do you need to look at them?
Yeah, they were very, they kept an eye on the Japanese people that were there because they just didn't seem to trust them at all.
And when Yeah, they didn't. And when Jiro came back, he finds that little girl that he helped.
Well, we're not there yet.
Where are we then?
Okay, so in early 1932, Jiro is promoted to chief designer for a fighter plane competition sponsored by the Imperial Navy. But his design, the Mitsubishi 1MF-10, fails testing in 1933 and is rejected. Disappointed, he goes to a summer resort in Karuizawa to rest, where he meets Naoko again. Hans Kastrup, a German visitor privately critical of the Nazi regime, tells Jiro, who intends to visit Dessau, that Hugo Junkers is in trouble for fighting Nazism and that Germany will go to war again and must be stopped. So, he meets up with Naoko again, which was that little girl that he met on the plane or on the train. She's grown up now, because I'm going to assume that there's probably a few years age difference between the two of them. Because she seemed really young, and he was basically college age. I don't know, how college worked back in the 1940s or 30s or whatever.
He could be like 16 or 17. You never know.
Yeah, and I mean, she was probably, she looked younger. She was probably maybe around 15, maybe.
But besides that,
She is female. Females do tend to look a lot younger than they actually are, but we don't actually know her age.
Right.
Mike's just jealous because I don't look my age.
Sure. Anyways, yes. Doesn't look her age, but besides the point, she is older, she's painting, and they're starting to get to know each other again, and turns out
she's always been in love with him.
She has. She's been in love with him. Always went to the same spring. And they finally meet together, and it rains. She takes her back, and turns out she's got...
Well, she got sick.
She got sick.
And then they found out much later that she had tuberculosis.
Yeah, to every Red Dead Redemption 2 player, she got what Arthur got. That, and also fans of Moulin Rouge.
Satine had
tuberculosis too.
Yeah.
So pretty much all your favorite characters die from consumption.
Yeah. So he spends the summer there at her family's hotel. And then you see the romance blossoming between them, but you never actually see them start to date or court or whatever. It's just they seem to be they seem to love each other. And then all of a sudden Jiro asks her father to for his blessing to marry her. Now, granted, this has only been a couple months, but I mean, people back in the 30s and 40s, I mean, they did get married fairly quickly, because of the war. Because Hanjo, Jiro's friend, even got married before they left for Germany. He's like, yeah, I'm going to Tokyo tomorrow, I'm going to get married. And then they went to Germany, and now, Jiro meets the same young, girl that he helped back during the earthquake, and he's like, yeah, I want to marry her because I love her. And so his father or her father does give his blessing, and we find out that her mother had died a couple years ago before they meet again. She had died from tuberculosis. Turns out Naoko has it too, and because I think so. Then it turns out that the secret police, I think, was looking for Jiro.
Yes. Because especially if he's a genius, meaning he can design planes, meaning they're going to try to kidnap him to do their evil bidding.
Yeah. Let me see. Yeah, so it says... Yeah, okay, so it says here, later Jiro asked Naoko's father for his blessing to marry her, and the two are engaged. However, Naoko has tuberculosis and wants to wait until she recovers to marry. Kastrup assists in the romance before fleeing arrest by the Japanese secret police. Wanted in connection with Kastrup, Jiro hides at his supervisor's home while he works on a new fighter aircraft project for the Imperial Navy. So while he's staying with his his manager or his supervisor. Naoko had a lung hemorrhage, and he took off out of the house so fast, which is really funny because his supervisor is like this short, angry man, and his wife is like this tall, beautiful, quiet-spoken woman. And I love his supervisor so much because he just like, he has like this bowl cut, and every time he walks, his hair just moves up and down. And he's got like, he kind of reminds me of a chihuahua.
Oh, to me, it reminds me of that short dude from the Lorax.
I haven't seen that one.
You get the, well, yeah.
Well, what I mean by like a chihuahua is like chihuahuas have that big dog energy.
Yeah.
They think that they're big dogs, but they're not. And he has that kind of like, he has that kind of vibe. He is like, I love him so much. He makes me laugh every single time I see him. So anyways, Jiro, gets a phone call about Naoko. He takes off. His, Mr. or Mrs. Oh gosh, I forget the name of the supervisor. Anyways, his wife, sends someone to to stop the bus. She's like, you can just make it. Well, I'll send someone to hold the bus for you. He runs out. He gets on the bus, gets on the train, makes it there, I think, late at night. And instead of going through the front door like any normal human being, he goes to her room through the garden, and her dad shows up. And I'm like, oh, shit. And nothing happens. Her dad's just like, hey, next time. He's like, I understand, y'all love each other. Thank you for coming. And then Jiro tells him before he leaves, the next time I show up or come to visit, I'll come through the front door. But no, Naoko wanted him to come through the garden like he did this last time. So, yeah. Anyway, so she ends up going to a sanatorium to
Get better.
Try to get better. And she gets a letter from him. We don't know what the letter says, but she does get a letter from him. While she is, so it says, following a lung hemorrhage, Naoko recovers in a mountain sanatorium, but cannot bear being apart from Jiro and returns to marry him. Jiro's sister, Kaio, a doctor, warns Jiro that his marriage to Naoko will end tragically as tuberculosis is incurable. Though Naoko's health deteriorates, she and Jiro enjoy their time together. So, she leaves the sanatorium, shows up to him in Nagoya, and she ends up staying with him and his supervisor's family. Well, his supervisor did not feel comfortable having an unwed couple living together under his roof, or staying together under his roof.
And he said, well, that's fine. We're going to get married. We want you to be the witnesses.
Yeah.
And even his boss says, if you are really smart, you put that girl on that bus, take her back to the asylum to get better.
Yeah, the sanatorium.
Sanatorium. He's like, I know, but I just can't live without her, and she can't live without me. And he's like, okay.
Yeah.
And pretty much, they do a traditional Japanese. I don't know how traditional it is.
I mean, normally they would have. I don't think. I'm going to assume that it might be somewhat legal. They did not have like a priest or a Buddhist priest or anything there. And normally she would have worn like a white kimono, but her kimono wasn't white.
Yeah, so you might be right. Besides that,
but they did end up consummating their marriage I think it was that night they ended up consummating their marriage.
Yeah, and even the supervisor's like, he's an idiot and something, but if she wants him, he can have her.
Yeah. So they do get married, and they're still living at his supervisor's house. And he continues, he's been working longer hours and stuff like that. And his sister Kaio comes to visit, because she heard that they're married. She comes to bring a gift. And she's like, you can't leave her locked up in that room all day, because she just didn't look healthy. And like the article here said, her health is deteriorating, and it does deteriorate. And then at one point, she leaves. Because I think she's going back to, the sanatorium, I do believe.
Yes.
Yeah, it says, so the day that she leaves, he had the final, or it was the test flight of his new prototype aircraft, the Mitsubishi A5M. Knowing that she will die soon, Naoko returns to the sanatorium, leaving farewell letters for Jiro, her family, and friends. At the test site, Jiro is distracted from his success by a gust of wind suggesting Naoko's passing. In 1945, after Japan lost World War II, Jiro dreams of Caproni again, regretting that his aircraft was used for war. Caproni comforts him, saying that Jiro's dream of building beautiful aircraft was nonetheless realized. Naoko appears, encouraging her husband to live his life to the fullest. Jiro and Caproni walk together into their shared kingdom of dreams.
Yes.
That's how the movie ends. So, his wife does die, which is sad. And you do see him walking along in the wreckage, probably after one of the bombs dropped in Hiroshima. I think bombs also dropped in Nagoya, but not as big as Hiroshima and what was the other spot? When they dropped the bombs in Japan.
Yes. And
Nagoya was hit, but not like with an atomic bomb, I don't think.
And it ends on a sad note, but also a good note about living your life. I give the movie 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I give it a 10 out of 10 too. Kurakawa, that is the name of his supervisor.
Oh.
And he was voiced by Martin Short.
Makes sense.
Emily Blunt voiced Naoko Satomi, which is Jiro's wife. Joseph Gordon-Levitt voiced Jiro. John Krasinski voiced Kiro Honjo.
Oh, I think that's the dude from The Office.
Okay. Mandy Patinkin voiced Hattori. I'm not quite sure exactly who Hattori is, but if you don't know, Mandy Patinkin was My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Oh.
That is him. He was actually in this, and Elijah Wood was also in this. He voiced Sony. Soné? I'm not quite sure who that is either. Stanley Tucci. Or Stanley Tucci.
Tucci.
Yeah, he voiced Giovanni Battista Caproni.
Oh, okay, cool.
And I only know him from the Hunger Games.
So,
Yep.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was a pretty solid cast, I thought.
Right.
Okay, so, anything else you want to add to the movie, about this movie?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, so, it's really good. It's on Max, if you guys ever want to watch it. They do have the Japanese and English versions on there, so whichever one you want to watch, you can. And,
All right.
So, next week's hint is, I am the world's greatest lover.
Yep.
So,
like and subscribe. Give us up to 100, so we'll do our cosplays.
Yep. And we will talk to you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.